The Making of Liberation Day, How Trump Turned a Tariff into a Holiday, part 1 of 7, in a series on what actually happened on April 2nd, 2025. April 2nd used to be just another Wednesday. Now it's Liberation Day, a brand new entry in the American political calendar, part economic declaration, part cultural thunderclap. What actually happened that day? We'll get to that. But first, we need to understand how we got here, how Donald Trump turned a set of tariff policies into something resembling a national holiday. Because this wasn't just about import taxes. This was a rhetorical transformation, a spiritual rebranding of economic warfare. This was Trump declaring independence, not from Britain, but from Beijing, Brussels, and a generation of corporate appeasement. Let's rewind. Trump didn't wake up on April 2nd and decide to make it dramatic. He'd been laying groundwork for months. At a 2024 rally in Nevada, he declared that Election Day, November 5th, would be Liberation Day. Then in his inaugural address on January 20th, 2025, he said, "For American citizens, today is Liberation Day." 3 months later, he used the phrase again, but this time not for politics, for policy. What most people missed is that Liberation Day didn't appear out of nowhere. Trump and his team had been teasing the phrase on Truth Social, rally stages, and press appearances with no explanation, just repetition. It was floating in the ether before it had any meaning. That's not sloppiness, that's narrative discipline. It built tension. It made the audience ask, what's coming? So when the announcement hit, it didn't feel new, it felt earned. Liberation Day, dedicated to freeing America from the yoke of free-ish trade, in Trump's words. The name may sound like something a marketing firm cooked up during a monster-fueled all-nighter, but it carries a message. Economic submission is over. This isn't about trade, it's about sovereignty. And to be clear, the rebrand worked. The media covered it, the markets noticed it, and the opposition panicked. You don't get that kind of reaction by quietly issuing a memo from the Commerce Department. Let's get one thing straight. Tariffs are not taxes on American citizens. That's the lazy talking point. A tariff is a penalty for offshoring. It's a fine for abandoning your workforce. It's a toll for foreign dependency. And it is entirely voluntary. If a corporation doesn't want to pay the tariff, there's a simple fix: make the product here. Funny, isn't it? The same people who've spent decades demanding higher corporate taxes suddenly lose their minds the second Trump taxes foreign goods made by corporations. When Biden calls for a 30% corporate tax rate, they call it justice. When Trump hits imports with a 10% tariff, they call it fascism. So which is it? Tariffs don't target you, they target the boardroom. They make the choice simple: build here or pay the price. Nobody's forcing anyone. That's the part they leave out on CNN. 2 days before the big event, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt gave the press corps the kind of warning shot that used to precede actual wars. On Wednesday, it will be Liberation Day in America. The president will be announcing a tariff plan that will roll back the unfair trade practices that have been ripping off our country for decades. He's doing this in the best interests of the American worker. Call it what you want, but it was clear Trump wasn't launching an economic proposal. He was launching a narrative. This wasn't policy, it was war paint, and that paint had a name with real historical weight. Liberation Day evokes more than just tariffs. It echoes World War II, D-Day, flags on French rooftops, American soldiers pushing out fascism and restoring sovereignty. Trump tapped that deep American memory and repurposed it for economic warfare. The branding wasn't accidental, it was mythic. Trump's rollout didn't dance around what was happening. He called it a declaration of economic independence. He said Americans had been ripped off for more than 50 years. He claimed that foreign leaders have stolen our jobs and described global trade as a coordinated looting operation on American prosperity. This was language designed to reframe the debate. Tariffs weren't pain, they were penance. They weren't taxes, they were justice. They charge us, we charge them. Can't get any simpler than that. It wasn't nuanced. That was the point. And that line, they charge us, we charge them, wasn't just rhetoric. It was brand engineering. Trump distills complex issues into phrases so short and punchy, they override the opposition's entire argument. It's not an economic theory. It's a street level rule. It feels fair, it feels earned, and once it lands, it sticks. Nobody remembers what the World Trade Organization says, but everyone remembers that line. And while the media pearl clutched over the idea of a new holiday tied to what they reflexively call a tax on consumers, they ignored the foundational truth. American consumers aren't being taxed, corporations are, and you're being given a choice. Invest in America or pay for the privilege of exploiting it. What's even funnier is that the media panic validated the branding. Within hours of the announcement, headlines flooded in, calling Liberation Day dangerous, nationalist, misleading, even a threat to democracy. And just like that, they confirmed the whole strategy worked. The more they freaked out, the more his base believed it, because if the corporate press hates it, it's probably working. April 2nd wasn't a day of rest. It was a day of warning. It told the world, if you want access to the American consumer, you better bring something to the table. It told corporations, if you want to build elsewhere, that's fine, but you're going to pay for that luxury. Liberation Day was never about policy. It was about permission. It gave Americans a new framework to think in, not will tariffs raise my prices, but why have I accepted this system at all? It didn't ask for technocratic buy-in. It demanded moral clarity. Trump didn't just roll out tariffs. He rolled out a story, a mythos, a brand of economic defiance dressed in red, white, and blue. And whether you love it or hate it, you're going to feel it. Next up in this series, what actually happened in the Rose Garden on April 2nd and how the Declaration of Economic Independence became one of the most visually staged executive orders in modern history.